The Milwaukee Hunter. On July 22, 1991, the weather was hot and stifling in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Two patrol officers encountered a black man named Tracy Edwards, 32, running down the street with a handcuff dangling from his wrist. "Help me! He's trying to kill me!" Tracy shakily pointed toward the Oxford apartments and said that a blond man had handcuffed him and threatened to take his heart. The police decided to follow Tracy to apartment 213 to check. The person who opened the door was Jeffrey Dahmer, 31, 1.85 meters tall, wearing a white t-shirt. He was polite and calm, explaining that this was just a misunderstanding between friends. His voice was soft, showing no sign of worry, but the officers detected a strong foul odor, like rotting meat. When they checked the bedroom, they found dozens of Polaroid photos, nude male bodies dismembered in various stages. In the refrigerator, 4 human heads wrapped in plastic bags and containers holding a heart and a liver. In the freezer, 3 large bags containing dismembered torso parts. On the stove, a pot containing boiled hands and genitals. In a 200-liter drum of acid, 3 partial skeletons dissolving. The police quickly arrested him. Dahmer offered no resistance. He simply looked up and said, "I did it. I did all of it." Dahmer confessed to killing 17 men over about 13 years. Mostly young men of color or Asian descent, people easily overlooked by society. He met them at gay bars, luring them home under the pretense of taking photos or watching movies. Dahmer then drugged their drinks and waited for them to fall unconscious. With some victims, Dahmer attempted experiments, drilling holes in their skulls and pouring acid into their brains to turn them into obedient zombies, victims who died in agony after hours or days. After they died, Dahmer dismembered the bodies, preserved parts in the refrigerator, and consumed meat from some victims. Residents said they had smelled strange odors from apartment 213 for months, but whenever they called police, Dahmer always had excuses. The fridge broke, spoiled meat, sewer smell. The most tragic case was that of 14-year-old Konorak Synthesophone. In May 1991, the boy escaped Dahmer's apartment with a drilled skull and acid poured into it, running naked and bleeding into the street. 2 women called the police, but Dahmer convinced them this was his adult boyfriend, who was drunk. The police returned the boy to Dahmer's apartment. Dahmer killed Konorak that same night. The trial took place in 1992. Dahmer pleaded guilty to all 15 murder charges. He did not deny anything, only saying, "I know I'm sick. I'm sorry." Dahmer was sentenced to 15 life sentences without parole. If you want more stories like this, remember to subscribe and feel free to suggest the next one in the comments. The Plainfield Leatherworker. On November 16, 1957, the weather was freezing in Plainfield, Wisconsin. Police were investigating the disappearance of Bernice Warden, 58, the owner of a local hardware store. She had vanished that morning, leaving only bloodstains on the floor and the last sales receipt showing one name, Ed Gein. Ed Gein, 51, was a shy farmer who lived alone in a rundown farmhouse. Neighbors knew he was strange, quiet, unmarried, living in a dark, decaying house ever since his mother died in 1945. But no one thought he was dangerous. When police arrived at Gein's farm at dusk, they found the house without electricity, lit only by candles. The shed door in the back was unlocked. Inside, Bernice Warden's body was hanging upside down from the rafters like a gutted deer. She had been sliced from neck to pelvis, her organs removed, and her head severed. When they searched the entire house, police discovered 4 chairs upholstered with human skin, a robe and vest made from human skin, 10 skulls turned into household bowls, 2 human lips used as a window, pull cord, 9 masks made from human facial skin, a belt made from human nipples, a full female skin suit. Ed wore it to become a woman. The stench of rot filled every corner. Trash was piled up like mountains. Ed lived only in a tiny clean room. The rest of the house was a workshop. Ed Gein was arrested that same night. When questioned, he calmly confessed, "Yes, I killed her. I shot her with a .22 rifle, then I brought her home." But the more terrifying part, Ed admitted to digging up at least 40 female corpses from cemeteries over 10 years. He waited for obituary reports, saw who had just died, then dug them up at night. He chose only middle-aged women who resembled his mother. Ed explained he wanted to become a woman because he missed his mother. Augusta Gein was a domineering religious fanatic who despised men and taught Ed that women were sinful. She forbade Ed from having girlfriends or interacting with women. When she died, Ed mentally collapsed. Investigators found that Ed killed only two people, Bernice Worden in 1957 and Mary Hogan, a bar owner, in 1954. The rest were exhumed corpses. The trial took place in 1968. A psychiatrist concluded he suffered from severe schizophrenia and was incompetent to stand trial. He was confined to a mental institution where he lived quietly, politely, reading books until his death in 1984 from cancer. The Sacramento Vampire. On January 27, 1978, Sacramento police found the body of 22-year-old Teresa Wallen, who was pregnant. She had been shot and disemboweled. Blood had been collected into a cup. Evidence showed the killer had drunk blood directly from her wounds. 3 days later, 4 more people were killed at the home of Evelyn Myroth, including a 22-month-old baby. The entire crime scene was soaked in blood. A human brain was found inside the refrigerator. Sacramento fell into panic. The killer was Richard Chase, 27, a severely mentally ill man who believed his blood was turning to powder and his heart was shrinking. He believed he needed other people's blood to stay alive. Chase had a history of mental illness since childhood. He had been hospitalized for catching and drinking the blood of live birds, rabbits, and dogs. Doctors warned he was extremely dangerous, but his mother pulled him out of the hospital after only a year, believing he was better. Starting in 1977, Chase lived alone and regularly killed animals. He drank fresh blood, ate raw organs, and believed this was how he could cure himself. Neighbors smelled a horrible odor from his apartment, but no one checked. In January 1978, Chase decided animal blood was not strong enough. He needed human blood. He drove around neighborhoods, testing house doors. If the door was locked, he walked away. In his delusional logic, a locked door meant not invited. If the door was unlocked, he entered and killed. In less than a month, Chase killed 6 people. Each time he drank his victims' blood, mutilated the bodies, stored organs in his fridge, and blended them to drink. "I need blood to live. My heart is shrinking." Police caught Chase after a witness remembered his orange car. When they searched his apartment, they found a human brain in a Tupperware container, dried blood in the fridge, and a blood-stained blender. The apartment was filled with stench and dried blood. Chase confessed immediately, calmly explaining a Nazi conspiracy using satellites to kill him and that drinking blood was his only defense. The trial took place in 1979. His attorneys tried to prove he was severely mentally ill, but the jury disagreed. Chase was sentenced to death. On December 26, 1980, Chase committed suicide in prison by hoarding and taking all his antidepressants at once. The Otaku Killer. Tsutomu Miyazaki was born on August 21, 1962, in Itsukaichi, Tokyo, with a congenital condition that fused his wrists and prevented normal hand rotation. Other children mocked him. He had no friends. In 1988, Miyazaki's grandmother passed away. She was the only person he truly loved. Miyazaki fell apart emotionally. He consumed a tiny amount of her ashes, believing it would keep her with him, and after that, he began seeking victims. The first victim was Mari Kano, 4 years old. On August 22, 1988, Miyazaki drove around the rural areas of Saitama. He saw little Mari playing alone. Miyazaki lured her into his car by promising to show her a cute rabbit. Mari trusted the young man who appeared harmless. Miyazaki drove to a remote forested area. There, he attacked Mari, resulting in her death. He then removed her clothing and took Polaroid photos of the scene. Miyazaki engaged in disturbing actions with the body, though official summaries avoid graphic descriptions. He took certain small parts of the victim's remains home as what he called trophies. He left the remaining body in the woods. 2 months later, Miyazaki returned to the site. He disposed of the remaining body by burning it and crushing the remains into ash-like material. Miyazaki mailed part of the ashes and some of Mari's belongings to her family. Using similar methods, he targeted 3 other young girls. The victims included Masami Yoshizawa, age 7, Erika Namba, age 4, Ayako Nomoto, age 5. On July 23, 1989, Miyazaki approached a young girl at a park. 2 friends of the child noticed something was wrong and ran to get nearby adults. Miyazaki panicked and ran back toward his car, but a man in the area chased him down and restrained him. When police arrived and inspected the vehicle, they found several significant pieces of evidence, more than 20 video recordings containing illegal and violent material, hundreds of Polaroids of the victims in various stages clothing of the girls. A diary detailing each killing. During the home search, police found a room stacked floor to ceiling with videotapes. In the refrigerator were small bone and teeth fragments. The trial lasted from 1990 to 1997. His lawyers argued that he suffered from schizophrenia, but other doctors stated he was fully aware, he planned, hid bodies, and erased evidence. Miyazaki's parents refused to attend the trial. His father declared, "My son is dead to me." In 1994, Miyazaki's father died by suicide from shame. Miyazaki was sentenced to death. On June 17, 2008, Miyazaki was executed by hanging. If you want more stories like this, remember to subscribe and feel free to suggest the next one in the comments.